The morning sun cast harsh shadows across the training grounds of Fort Braxton as Staff Sergeant Linda Patterson walked toward what everyone assumed would be her final humiliation. At 52, with silver hair that caught the North Carolina sunlight like polished steel, she had become the target of whispered jokes and sideways glances from soldiers young enough to be her children. They saw her gray hair and immediately wrote her off as yesterday's news, a relic clinging to relevance in a young person's game. What they didn't know was that this woman they dismissed as a desk-bound has-been was about to remind them that some fires burn hotter with age, and that experience forged in real combat doesn't fade with the color of your hair. In the next hour, Linda would not only shatter every assumption these cocky young soldiers had about her, but she would redefine what it means to be a warrior in the modern military. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The humidity hung thick in the air as Linda adjusted her patrol cap and surveyed the physical training complex at Fort Braxton. The facility was a monument to modern military efficiency, all gleaming steel and state-of-the-art equipment designed to forge the next generation of elite soldiers. Massive digital displays showed training schedules and performance metrics, while the latest in fitness technology hummed quietly in climate-controlled rooms. Everything about the place screamed youth, innovation, and the relentless march toward the future. Linda had worked at this base for 3 years now, ever since her reassignment from active training duties to what the brass politely called Personnel Development Coordination. The title sounded impressive enough on paper, but everyone knew what it really meant. They had shuffled her off to a desk job because someone in command had decided that a woman with gray hair had no business training the Army's elite forces. The irony wasn't lost on her that she now spent her days processing paperwork for training programs she had once designed and led. The morning briefing was about to begin in the main conference room, where Captain Robert Hayes would announce the details of this year's Iron Eagle competition. Linda had attended these briefings for the past 3 years, always sitting in the back with the other administrative staff, watching as younger, more photogenic officers took credit for training innovations that bore her fingerprints. Hayes was particularly fond of presenting himself as a visionary leader, despite having never spent a day in actual combat operations. As Linda made her way through the complex, she passed groups of soldiers engaged in various training activities. The contrast between her measured, purposeful stride and their explosive bursts of energy was immediately apparent to anyone watching. Where they moved with the raw enthusiasm of youth, she moved with the calculated efficiency of experience. Where they attacked each exercise with maximum effort and minimal strategy, she observed their techniques with the knowing eye of someone who had perfected these movements before most of them were born. The weight room echoed with the sound of clanging metal and competitive banter as soldiers pushed themselves through morning PT. Tyler Brooks, a 24-year-old team leader with the build of a college linebacker, was holding court near the bench press station. His voice carried easily across the room as he regaled his teammates with stories of his latest training achievements, each tale growing more impressive with each retelling. Emma Rodriguez spotted Linda walking past the weight room and nudged her training partner. At 22, Emma was ambitious to a fault, having graduated at the top of her class from every course she had completed. She had been at Fort Braxton for 8 months and had already made it clear that she intended to fast-track her way to special operations assignments. Her gaze followed Linda with the kind of casual dismissal reserved for people she considered irrelevant to her career trajectory. Marcus Johnson, whose imposing frame and former college football background made him a natural leader among the younger soldiers, was spotting for Tyler when he noticed the exchange. His expression shifted to one of barely concealed amusement as he watched Linda's unhurried progress through the facility. To him, she represented everything the modern military was moving away from: outdated methods, rigid adherence to tradition, and an inability to adapt to technological advancement. Ashley Kim, the most tech-savvy member of the group, was monitoring her workout metrics on a tablet while maintaining perfect form on the rowing machine. At 23, she had embraced every piece of modern training technology available and often made pointed comments about soldiers who still relied on old-school methods. Her glances toward Linda carried the particular brand of condescension that young people often display toward anyone who didn't grow up with smartphones and social media. The conference room was filling up as Linda took her usual seat in the back row, her worn notebook and standard-issue pen a stark contrast to the tablets and digital devices favored by the younger attendees. Captain Hayes entered with his characteristic swagger, his uniform pressed to perfection and his presentation materials arranged with obsessive precision. At 35, he represented the new breed of military officer, media-savvy, politically astute, and laser-focused on advancement opportunities. Hayes had specifically requested Fort Braxton as his assignment because he knew it would provide high-visibility opportunities to showcase his leadership skills. The Iron Eagle competition was his pet project, a grueling test of military readiness that he had positioned as the ultimate proving ground for elite soldiers. What made this year's competition particularly significant was the potential for media coverage and the attention it might attract from Pentagon officials looking for the next generation of military leaders. Master Sergeant David Coleman entered the room and nodded briefly toward Linda before taking his seat in the front row. At 45, Coleman was one of the few people at Fort Braxton who remembered Linda's reputation from her active training days. He had served under her command during a joint training exercise 7 years earlier and had witnessed firsthand the kind of respect she commanded from elite special operations personnel. Coleman's presence was one of the few bright spots in Linda's otherwise isolated existence at the base. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Colonel Sarah Mitchell arrived precisely at the scheduled time, her no-nonsense demeanor immediately commanding attention from everyone in the room. At 48, Mitchell had earned her position through a combination of tactical brilliance and political savvy that few officers ever mastered. She was results-oriented above all else, and had little patience for the kind of bureaucratic maneuvering that often dominated military advancement. Her reputation for promoting based on merit rather than connections had made her both respected and feared throughout the command structure. Captain Hayes began his presentation with the kind of polished delivery that revealed extensive preparation and rehearsal. The Iron Eagle competition, he explained, would be a 5-day intensive test designed to identify the most capable soldiers for special assignment opportunities. The competition would take place in the Blue Ridge Mountain Training Area, a remote facility that offered some of the most challenging terrain on the East Coast. Participants would face a series of increasingly difficult challenges designed to test every aspect of military readiness: physical endurance, tactical thinking, leadership under pressure, and the ability to perform complex operations in extreme conditions. The selection process for participants had already been completed. Hayes continued, with 24 soldiers chosen based on their performance records and potential for advancement. The competition would be divided into 6 teams of 4 soldiers, each with team composition designed to balance experience levels and skill sets. The winning team would receive expedited consideration for special operations training, while individual standout performers would be eligible for advanced leadership courses and premium assignment opportunities. Linda listened to the presentation with growing interest, noting the sophisticated design of the challenges and the obvious thought that had gone into creating meaningful tests of military capability. Despite her personal feelings about Captain Hayes, she had to admit that he had developed an impressive competition framework. The combination of individual and team challenges would provide a comprehensive assessment of each participant's abilities, while also testing their capacity to work effectively under pressure. The first challenge, Hayes explained, would be the Gauntlet, a 2-mile obstacle course that incorporated elements from every major military training program. Participants would face rope climbs, wall scaling, mud crawls, tire carries, and precision shooting stations, all while carrying full combat gear and maintaining strict time requirements. The course had been designed to eliminate any soldier who couldn't meet the basic physical standards required for elite operations. Following the Gauntlet would be a 15-mile endurance march through mountainous terrain, carrying full combat loads and navigating using only map and compass. This challenge was specifically designed to test not just physical endurance, but also navigation skills and the ability to maintain performance standards while dealing with fatigue and environmental stress. Soldiers who fell behind the pace requirements or made significant navigation errors would be eliminated from further competition. The third day would feature live-fire combat simulations designed to replicate the stress and complexity of actual combat operations. Teams would face multiple scenarios requiring split-second decision-making, precise coordination, and the ability to adapt tactics in response to changing battlefield conditions. These exercises would be conducted with full safety protocols, but the psychological pressure and physical demands would closely mirror real combat situations. Day 4 would present the Survival Challenge, a 48-hour test that would drop teams in remote wilderness areas with minimal equipment and no outside support. Participants would need to demonstrate proficiency in wilderness survival skills, maintain team cohesion under extreme stress, and complete navigation challenges while dealing with hunger, fatigue, and unpredictable weather conditions. This phase of the competition had historically eliminated more participants than any other single challenge. The final day would culminate in a complex leadership test that would require teams to plan and execute a simulated rescue operation under time pressure and with incomplete information. This challenge was designed to identify soldiers with the kind of tactical thinking and leadership potential required for advanced special operations roles. The scenarios would be based on real-world missions, requiring participants to demonstrate not just technical competence, but also the judgment and adaptability that distinguished elite soldiers from their peers. As Hayes concluded his presentation and opened the floor for questions, Linda found herself mentally analyzing each challenge and considering the various approaches that might prove most effective. Her years of experience designing and conducting similar training programs had given her insights that would be valuable in preparing for these specific tests. She understood the psychological as well as physical aspects of each challenge and could anticipate the kinds of mistakes that typically eliminated otherwise capable soldiers. Tyler Brooks raised his hand with the kind of confident enthusiasm that immediately drew attention. His question focused on the equipment specifications for the endurance march, revealing both his serious approach to preparation and his assumption that superior gear would provide a significant advantage. Hayes responded with technical details about pack weights and required equipment, clearly pleased to engage with a soldier who took the competition seriously. Emma Rodriguez followed with a question about the team selection process, wanting to understand how leadership roles would be assigned and whether individual performance metrics would be tracked separately from team results. Her inquiry demonstrated the kind of strategic thinking that had made her a standout performer in previous training programs, but also revealed her primary focus on personal advancement rather than team success. Marcus Johnson asked about the combat simulation scenarios, specifically whether they would incorporate the kind of urban warfare techniques that had become increasingly important in modern military operations. His question showed familiarity with current tactical trends and suggested that he had been studying advanced combat techniques beyond the standard training curriculum. Ashley Kim inquired about the technology that would be available during the survival challenge, clearly hoping that her expertise with digital devices might provide an advantage in navigation and communication tasks. Hayes explained that the survival phase would deliberately limit technological aids to basic equipment, emphasizing traditional skills over technological solutions. Throughout the question and answer session, Linda remained silent, absorbing information and noting the assumptions and blind spots revealed by each inquiry. The younger soldiers were clearly focused on leveraging their specific strengths and minimizing their perceived weaknesses, but their questions also revealed a concerning tendency to rely on external advantages rather than fundamental capabilities. As the briefing concluded and soldiers began filing out of the conference room, Linda overheard fragments of conversation that confirmed her assessment of the prevailing attitudes toward the competition. Tyler was already discussing training strategies with his core group, his voice carrying the kind of confidence that came from never having faced a challenge he couldn't overcome through raw talent and determination. Emma was calculating the career advantages that might result from a strong performance, while Marcus was analyzing the physical demands of each challenge and planning his preparation accordingly. Master Sergeant Coleman approached Linda as she gathered her materials, his expression suggesting that he wanted to discuss something privately. They walked together toward the administrative building, maintaining the kind of professional distance that prevented casual observers from assuming anything significant about their conversation. Coleman waited until they were well away from other personnel before speaking. His observation was direct and concerning. The soldiers selected for this year's competition were undoubtedly talented, but they had never been tested under the kind of extreme conditions that would be required in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Their confidence was based on training exercises conducted in controlled environments with safety nets and predetermined outcomes. Real-world conditions would present challenges that couldn't be overcome through physical conditioning alone. Linda agreed with his assessment, noting that the selected soldiers had impressive individual capabilities but limited experience with the kind of unpredictable situations that defined actual military operations. Their training had prepared them to excel in standardized tests and controlled environments, but the Iron Eagle competition would require adaptability and judgment that could only be developed through experience. Coleman's next comment caught Linda completely off guard. He suggested that she should consider volunteering for the competition herself. The suggestion was so unexpected that Linda initially assumed he was joking, but his serious expression made it clear that he was entirely sincere. When she pointed out that the competition was designed for soldiers in their 20s and that her current assignment kept her far from operational training, Coleman responded with a knowing smile. He reminded her that the competition rules didn't specify age limits, only that participants must be active duty personnel in good standing with current physical fitness qualifications. Linda met all technical requirements, and her administrative role didn't disqualify her from participation. Coleman's argument was simple. If she truly believed that experience mattered more than youth, this was her opportunity to prove it. The conversation continued as they reached Linda's office in the administrative building. Coleman's reasoning was both practical and personal. From a practical standpoint, the younger soldiers would benefit enormously from competing alongside someone with her background and experience. From a personal standpoint, Linda deserved the opportunity to demonstrate her capabilities after 3 years of being relegated to desk duties, based on assumptions about her age and current role. Linda's initial reaction was to dismiss the suggestion as unrealistic. She pointed out that she hadn't participated in intensive physical training for years, that her current fitness level was based on personal maintenance rather than competitive preparation, and that inserting herself into a competition designed for elite soldiers half her age would likely result in nothing more than public embarrassment. Coleman countered each objection with specific examples from Linda's recent performance evaluations and fitness test results. Her scores consistently exceeded requirements for her age group and compared favorably with much younger soldiers. Her quarterly training reports demonstrated continued proficiency in tactical skills, and her administrative work had kept her current on the latest developments in military training and operations. The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Captain Hayes, who had apparently been looking for Linda to discuss scheduling details for the upcoming competition logistics. His expression when he saw her deep in conversation with Coleman suggested mild curiosity rather than concern, but his timing created an awkward moment that required careful navigation. Hayes inquired about their discussion, and Coleman smoothly redirected the conversation toward general observations about the competition design and participant selection. Linda noted Hayes's subtle but unmistakable condescension when he addressed her directly, his tone suggesting that he viewed her input as marginally relevant at best. His comments about ensuring proper administrative support for the competition made it clear that he saw her role as purely logistical rather than substantive. After Hayes departed, Coleman resumed his argument with increased intensity. He pointed out that Linda's reaction to Hayes's dismissive attitude perfectly illustrated why her participation in the competition would be valuable. The younger soldiers needed to see that capability wasn't determined by age or current assignment, and Linda needed to remind herself that she was more than just an administrative placeholder. Linda's resistance began to weaken as she considered the broader implications of Coleman's suggestion. The competition would indeed provide an opportunity to demonstrate that experience and tactical knowledge could compete with youth and raw physical ability. More importantly, her participation might help the younger soldiers develop a more nuanced understanding of what constituted military excellence. The practical challenges remained significant. Linda would need to request permission to participate, undergo additional physical evaluation, and prepare herself for competition against soldiers who had been training intensively for months. The risk of failure was substantial, and the potential for embarrassment could undermine what remained of her credibility within the command structure. Coleman addressed each concern with the methodical approach that had made him an effective senior NCO. The permission process would be straightforward since she met all technical requirements. Physical evaluation would likely confirm what her recent fitness tests had already demonstrated. She was in better condition than most soldiers her age and competitive with many soldiers significantly younger. As for preparation time, he argued that her years of experience provided advantages that couldn't be developed through short-term training. Their conversation was again interrupted, this time by Tyler Brooks and Emma Rodriguez, who had apparently been looking for information about competition logistics. Their arrival created another awkward moment, particularly when they realized they had interrupted what appeared to be a serious discussion between two senior NCOs. Tyler's request for clarification about team assignments provided an opportunity for Linda to observe the younger soldiers' attitudes more closely. His confidence was immediately apparent, but so was his assumption that success would come through individual excellence rather than team coordination. Emma's follow-up questions revealed similar thinking. She was clearly strategizing about how to position herself for maximum visibility and advancement opportunity. Both soldiers addressed Linda with the kind of polite professionalism that barely palely concealed their view of her as irrelevant to their competitive concerns. Their body language suggested mild impatience with having to interact with administrative personnel when they preferred to focus on training and preparation. Neither showed any awareness that Linda might have insights relevant to their upcoming challenges. Coleman's responses to their questions were carefully neutral, but Linda detected subtle hints that he was testing their assumptions and challenging their thinking. His questions about their preparation strategies revealed gaps in their tactical knowledge, while his comments about the unpredictable nature of mountain operations highlighted areas where experience might prove more valuable than raw physical capability. After the younger soldiers departed, Coleman made his final argument for Linda's participation. The competition wasn't just about proving individual capability. It was about demonstrating the value of experience and the danger of dismissing soldiers based on superficial characteristics. Linda's participation would serve both personal and institutional purposes, challenging ageist assumptions while providing valuable perspective to the next generation of military leaders. Linda found herself seriously considering the proposal for the first time. The risks remained significant, but Coleman's arguments about the broader value of her participation were compelling. The competition would indeed provide an opportunity to challenge prevailing assumptions about age and capability, while also giving her a chance to reconnect with the kind of operational training that had once defined her career. The decision ultimately came down to a simple question. Was she content to spend the rest of her career processing paperwork and accepting others' assumptions about her limitations, or was she willing to risk public failure in order to demonstrate that some things couldn't be measured by the color of someone's hair? Coleman's patient silence as she worked through this internal debate suggested that he already knew what her answer would be. Linda's final question revealed her decision. When would she need to submit her request to participate? And what was the timeline for additional physical evaluation? Coleman's smile indicated that he had been prepared for exactly this response. The paperwork could be submitted immediately, and the evaluation could be scheduled within 48 hours. If she was serious about competing, there was no reason to delay the process. As their conversation concluded and Linda began considering the practical steps necessary to formalize her participation, she felt a familiar stirring of anticipation that she hadn't experienced in years. The prospect of returning to the kind of challenging operational environment that had once been her natural habitat was both terrifying and exhilarating. Whatever the outcome, she would finally have the opportunity to show these young soldiers. That gray hair might indicate experience rather than obsolescence. The afternoon sunlight streaming through her office window seemed somehow brighter as Linda began drafting her formal request to participate in the Iron Eagle competition. For the first time in 3 years, she felt like a soldier again rather than an administrator. Tomorrow would bring the first steps toward proving that some fires only burn hotter with age, and that the most dangerous assumptions are often those made about people who've learned to let their actions speak louder than their appearance. The following morning brought the kind of crisp autumn air that made outdoor training at Fort Braxton particularly invigorating. Linda arrived at the physical training complex earlier than usual, her formal request for competition participation already submitted through proper channels. She had spent most of the previous evening reviewing the competition requirements and assessing her current capabilities against the stated standards. The numbers were encouraging, but she understood that statistical qualifications would mean little if her actual performance failed to meet expectations. The weight room was already bustling with activity when Linda entered to complete her morning workout routine. Her presence drew immediate attention, though not the kind she might have preferred. Tyler Brooks was in the middle of explaining proper deadlift technique to a group of newer soldiers when he spotted her methodical approach to the equipment area. His voice carried easily across the room as he made what he clearly considered a helpful observation about age-appropriate exercise modifications. Tyler's commentary began innocuously enough, with general remarks about the importance of adapting training intensity to accommodate physical limitations that naturally developed over time. His tone was professorial rather than malicious, suggesting that he genuinely believed he was offering valuable guidance to someone who might not understand the risks of overexertion. The younger soldiers in his audience nodded along with his explanations, accepting his expertise on matters of fitness and age-related physical decline. Emma Rodriguez had been completing her cardiovascular routine on a nearby elliptical machine when Tyler's impromptu lecture began. Her contribution to the discussion took a more pointed direction, focusing specifically on the observable signs that indicated when someone might be pushing beyond their appropriate limits. Her examples were carefully chosen to seem general while making unmistakably specific references to Linda's appearance and presumed capabilities. Emma's observations centered on the importance of recognizing when traditional training approaches might no longer be suitable for changing physical circumstances. She spoke knowledgeably about age-related changes in muscle recovery, joint flexibility, and cardiovascular capacity, presenting her information as educational rather than personal. Criticism. Her delivery was smooth and professional, demonstrating the kind of sophisticated communication skills that had made her a standout in leadership training programs. Marcus Johnson joined the conversation from his position at the bench press station, where he had been working through his strength training routine with characteristic intensity. His perspective focused on the psychological aspects of aging in competitive environments, particularly the tendency for older individuals to overestimate their current capabilities based on past performance. His analysis was presented as objective assessment rather than personal judgment, though the implications were unmistakable to everyone within hearing range. Marcus spoke about the importance of honest self-evaluation and the dangers of allowing pride or nostalgia to override realistic assessment of current limitations. He cited examples from professional athletics about veteran players who struggled to accept diminished capabilities, often resulting in poor performance and potential injury. His knowledge of sports psychology was impressive, and his presentation style convinced many listeners that his observations represented scientific fact rather than personal opinion. Ashley Kim contributed her own perspective while monitoring her heart rate and performance metrics on the latest fitness tracking technology. Her analysis focused on the measurable differences between optimal performance at various life stages, supporting her arguments with data from peer-reviewed studies on athletic performance and aging. Her approach was thoroughly modern, emphasizing technological solutions and quantitative analysis over subjective assessment. Ashley's discussion of metabolism, muscle fiber composition, and hormonal changes provided a scientific foundation for the group's collective assessment of age-related physical decline. Her presentation was particularly effective because it seemed completely objective, removing any appearance of personal bias or discriminatory intent. The younger soldiers found her evidence-based approach convincing, accepting her conclusions about the inevitable limitations that accompanied advancing age. Throughout this extended discussion, Linda continued her workout routine with the kind of methodical focus that had characterized her approach to physical training throughout her career. Her exercise selection demonstrated familiarity with proper technique and progression principles, while her intensity levels suggested fitness standards well above average for her demographic. None of the younger soldiers appeared to notice these indicators. Their attention focused entirely on confirming their preconceived assumptions about her limitations. Linda's deadlift performance provided Tyler with additional material for his ongoing educational presentation. He noted her conservative weight selection and deliberate movement patterns, interpreting these choices as evidence of the cautious approach required by older trainees. His analysis failed to recognize that Linda's technique demonstrated the kind of refined efficiency that typically developed through years of consistent training, or that her weight selection might represent warm-up rather than maximum effort. The group's discussion expanded to include broader observations about career transitions and the importance of accepting changing roles within military structure. Emma led this portion of the conversation, speaking eloquently about the value of experience in administrative and support positions, while carefully avoiding any suggestion that such roles represented anything other than appropriate placement for personnel whose operational capabilities had diminished. Emma's perspective emphasized the institutional wisdom that came from recognizing individual strengths and limitations, ensuring that personnel were positioned where they could contribute most effectively. Her description of administrative roles was respectful and appreciative, acknowledging their importance while making clear that such positions represented a natural progression away from operational responsibilities. The underlying message was unmistakable. Some transitions were inevitable and should be embraced rather than resisted. Marcus expanded on this theme by discussing the psychological challenges that often accompanied career transitions, particularly for individuals whose identity had been closely tied to physical performance and operational roles. His insights into the difficulty of accepting changing capabilities were perceptive and demonstrated genuine empathy for the challenges faced by aging military personnel. His analysis was compassionate while reinforcing the assumption that such transitions were necessary and appropriate. Ashley provided technological context for their discussion, explaining how modern fitness tracking and performance analysis could help individuals make more informed decisions about appropriate activity levels and career transitions. Her enthusiasm for data-driven decision-making was infectious, and her examples of successful technology-assisted training modifications seemed to offer practical solutions for managing age-related changes. The conversation continued as various soldiers contributed their own observations and experiences, creating an extended discussion that appeared educational and supportive while systematically reinforcing assumptions about Linda's limitations. The participants seemed genuinely convinced that they were engaged in helpful analysis rather than discriminatory speculation, their academic tone providing cover for conclusions that might otherwise have seemed obviously prejudicial. Linda completed her workout routine and began cleaning her equipment, a process that attracted additional commentary about the importance of proper gym etiquette and respect for shared facilities. Tyler's observations about her methodical approach to equipment maintenance were presented as positive examples of consideration for other users, though his tone suggested that such attention to detail was characteristic of personnel who had more time than energy to invest in physical training. As Linda prepared to leave the weight room, Emma made what appeared to be a genuine offer of assistance with workout planning and technique refinement. Her suggestion that Linda might benefit from consulting with younger soldiers who had access to the latest training methodologies was presented as helpful mentorship, though it clearly positioned Emma as the expert and Linda as the student requiring guidance. The irony of this role reversal was lost on Emma, who seemed genuinely convinced that her recent education and exposure to current training trends provided superior knowledge compared to Linda's decades of practical experience. Her offer to share information about age-appropriate exercise modifications was made with sincere good intentions, demonstrating how thoroughly she had accepted the assumption that Linda's experience was outdated rather than valuable. Marcus joined Emma in offering assistance, suggesting that Linda might want to observe some of their advanced training sessions to learn about current approaches to military fitness and tactical preparation. His invitation was extended with apparent generosity, though it positioned Linda as an outsider who might benefit from exposure to modern techniques rather than as someone who might have contributed to developing those very techniques. Ashley offered to share her performance tracking data and analysis tools, explaining how technology could help Linda monitor her progress and adjust her training approach to accommodate her changing capabilities. Her enthusiasm for technological solutions was genuine, and her willingness to share resources demonstrated the kind of collaborative spirit that characterized the best military training environments, even as it reinforced assumptions about Linda's need for technological assistance to compensate for natural limitations. The weight room conversation concluded with general agreement about the importance of supportive community and shared knowledge in maintaining fitness and readiness throughout military careers. The younger soldiers seemed satisfied that they had demonstrated appropriate respect and consideration for a senior colleague, while providing valuable guidance about realistic expectations and appropriate transitions. Linda's departure from the Weight room coincided with the arrival of several other soldiers who had overheard portions of the extended discussion. Their expressions suggested curiosity about the topic that had generated such animated conversation, providing an opportunity for the original participants to share their insights about age-appropriate training and career transitions with a wider audience. Tyler took the lead in summarizing their discussion for the newcomers, presenting their analysis as educational content rather than personal commentary. His recap focused on the scientific and practical aspects of aging in military environments, emphasizing the importance of honest assessment and appropriate adaptation. His presentation was professional and informative, demonstrating genuine knowledge while reinforcing the conclusions that had emerged from their original conversation. The expanded discussion attracted additional participants as word spread about the interesting educational conversation taking place in the weight room. Soldiers who had not witnessed Linda's workout routine nevertheless contributed their own observations about age-related changes and career transitions, creating a comprehensive discussion that seemed to offer valuable insights for military personnel at all stages of their careers. Emma's contributions to the expanded discussion focused on leadership and mentorship opportunities that became available as personnel transitioned away from operational roles. Her perspective emphasized the positive aspects of such transitions, highlighting the valuable contributions that experienced personnel could make in administrative and support positions. Her analysis was respectful and appreciative while clearly positioning such roles as alternatives to rather than continuations of operational careers. The discussion eventually moved beyond specific observations about Linda to broader consideration of military career management and the challenges of maintaining relevance in rapidly changing operational environments. The participants demonstrated genuine thoughtfulness about these complex issues, though their analysis consistently reinforced assumptions about the inevitable decline of capabilities with age and the appropriateness of transitioning experienced personnel away from operational roles. Marcus contributed insights about the psychological aspects of career transitions, drawing on his knowledge of sports psychology and performance optimization. His analysis of the challenges faced by aging athletes provided a framework for understanding similar issues in military contexts, though his comparisons consistently emphasized decline rather than adaptation or evolution of capabilities. Ashley's technological perspective continued to influence the discussion, with her emphasis on data-driven decision-making and quantitative analysis, providing apparent objectivity to conclusions that might otherwise have seemed subjective. Her examples of successful technology-assisted training modifications offered practical solutions while reinforcing the assumption that such assistance was necessary for aging personnel to maintain any level of performance. The weight room discussion gradually dispersed as soldiers departed for other training activities and responsibilities, but the themes that had emerged continued to influence conversations throughout the training complex. Linda's presence and the assumptions about her capabilities had provided a catalyst for broader discussion about age, capability, and appropriate roles within military structure. Meanwhile, Linda made her way to the administration building where she had scheduled a meeting with Captain Hayes to discuss her participation request. The timing of this meeting, coming so soon after the weight room discussion, created an interesting juxtaposition between the younger soldiers' assumptions about her limitations and her actual intentions regarding the competition. Captain Hayes was reviewing competition logistics when Linda arrived for their scheduled appointment. His office reflected his personality and priorities. Everything was precisely organized, visually impressive, and designed to project competence and authority. The walls displayed his various certifications and commendations, while his desk featured the latest in military technology and communication equipment. Hayes greeted Linda with the kind of professional courtesy that characterized his interactions with all personnel, though his body language suggested that he viewed this meeting as a routine administrative matter rather than a significant discussion. His assumption that Linda's request involved some aspect of competition, logistics, or support was evident in his initial comments and the materials he had prepared for their meeting. Linda's explanation of her actual request caught Hayes completely off guard. His initial reaction was visible confusion, as if he hadn't correctly understood her statement about wanting to participate in the competition as a competitor rather than as administrative support. His request for clarification suggested that he was giving her an opportunity to correct what he assumed must be a miscommunication or misunderstanding. When Linda confirmed that she was indeed requesting permission to compete in the Iron Eagle competition alongside the selected soldiers, Hayes's expression shifted from confusion to something approaching disbelief. His immediate concerns centered on liability issues and the potential for injury or embarrassment that might reflect poorly on the command structure. His questions about her recent physical fitness evaluations and medical clearance revealed his assumption that her request was motivated by some kind of misunderstanding about the competition's requirements. Hayes's analysis of the competition demands was thorough and detailed, emphasizing the extreme physical and mental challenges that participants would face. His description of the mountain training environment and the specific requirements for each phase of the competition was clearly intended to help Linda understand why her participation might not be appropriate or advisable. The captain's concerns about Linda's preparation time were particularly pointed. He noted that the selected participants had been training intensively for months specifically for this competition, developing the specialized skills and conditioning required for success in the challenging mountain environment. His implication was clear. Someone beginning preparation at this late stage, particularly someone of Linda's age and current assignment, would be at a severe disadvantage. Hayes also raised concerns about team dynamics and the potential impact of Linda's participation on the other competitors. His analysis suggested that her presence might create awkward situations or unfair advantages related to her rank and experience, even as he simultaneously questioned whether her current capabilities would allow her to contribute meaningfully to team performance. The discussion of equipment and logistical requirements provided Hayes with additional opportunities to emphasize the challenging nature of the competition. His detailed explanation of the gear requirements, physical standards, and performance expectations seemed designed to help Linda understand the full scope of what she was requesting to undertake. Linda's responses to Hayes's concerns were measured and professional, demonstrating that she had carefully considered the various challenges and requirements before submitting her request. Her knowledge of the competition format and her realistic assessment of her own capabilities surprised Hayes, who had clearly expected her to withdraw her request once she understood the full implications. Hayes's final attempt to dissuade Linda focused on the potential career implications of unsuccessful participation. His analysis of how poor performance might affect her standing within the command structure and her future assignment opportunities was presented as protective guidance rather than discriminatory discouragement, though the underlying message was unmistakable. When Linda maintained her position despite all of Hayes's concerns and objections, the captain found himself in the uncomfortable position of having to either approve her request or find official grounds for denial. Her technical qualifications met all stated requirements, and her fitness evaluations supported her eligibility for participation. Hayes's reluctance was obvious, but his inability to identify legitimate grounds for denial left him with limited options. The meeting concluded with Hayes's grudging agreement to forward Linda's request through proper channels for final approval. His emphasis on the various disclaimers and liability considerations that would need to be addressed revealed his hope that higher authorities might find reasons to deny the request that he had been unable to identify. As Linda left Hayes's office, she encountered Tyler Brooks and Emma Rodriguez in the hallway outside the administration building. Their presence there was apparently coincidental related to their own administrative requirements, but the timing created an awkward moment that required careful navigation. Tyler's polite inquiry about Linda's meeting with Captain Hayes provided an opportunity for her to reveal her intentions regarding the competition. The younger soldiers' reactions to her announcement were immediate and unmistakable, though they attempted to maintain professional courtesy despite their obvious surprise and skepticism. Emma's response focused on practical concerns about preparation time and competitive readiness, echoing many of the same points that Hayes had raised during their meeting. Her questions about Linda's training routine and performance standards were framed as helpful inquiry rather than skeptical challenge, though the underlying assumptions were clear to all participants in the conversation. Tyler's perspective emphasized the collaborative aspects of the competition and the importance of team compatibility and shared performance standards. His analysis of the challenges that teams might face if members had significantly different capability levels was presented as objective assessment rather than personal criticism, though his implications were unmistakable. The hallway conversation attracted attention from other personnel moving through the administration building, creating a small audience for what had begun as a private exchange. The growing number of observers added pressure to maintain professional decorum while making it increasingly difficult for any participant to speak candidly about their thoughts and concerns. Emma's final comments about the value of realistic goal setting and the importance of positive contribution to team dynamics seemed supportive while reinforcing assumptions about Linda's likely performance limitations. Her suggestion that participation itself represented success regardless of competitive results was clearly intended as encouragement, though it effectively positioned Linda as someone whose presence would be tolerated rather than valued. Tyler's concluding remarks about looking forward to the learning opportunities that would emerge from diverse participation were diplomatically phrased while making clear his view that Linda's primary contribution would be educational rather than competitive. His emphasis on the value of different perspectives and experiences was respectful while positioning Linda as a curiosity rather than a legitimate competitor. The administrative building encounter concluded with polite exchanges about training schedules and preparation activities, though the underlying tensions and assumptions had been clearly established. Linda's intentions were now public knowledge, setting the stage for broader discussion throughout the base about her participation and its implications for the competition's credibility and outcomes. The first day of Iron Eagle competition arrived, with a bone-chilling mountain mist that clung to the Blue Ridge peaks like smoke from a dying fire. 25 competitors assembled at the staging area, their breath visible in the pre-dawn air as they conducted final equipment checks and mentally prepared for the challenges ahead. Linda stood among them, her presence creating subtle ripples of curiosity and skepticism that spread through the gathered soldiers like water finding cracks in stone. The addition of a 25th competitor had required last-minute adjustments to team compositions and logistical arrangements. Captain Hayes had made it clear through his briefings that these modifications were accommodations rather than improvements, his tone suggesting that Linda's participation represented an administrative burden rather than an enhancement to the competition. The younger soldiers had absorbed this messaging, their interactions with Linda characterized by polite tolerance rather than genuine acceptance as a peer competitor. Tyler Brooks commanded Alpha Team with the kind of natural authority that had distinguished him throughout his military career. His team composition reflected careful selection based on complementary skills and proven performance records. Emma Rodriguez served as his second in command, her strategic thinking and leadership potential making her an ideal complement to Tyler's physical capabilities and tactical knowledge. Marcus Johnson and Ashley Kim completed the team, providing the specialized skills in combat operations and technological applications that would be essential for success in the competition's diverse challenges. The dynamic within Alpha Team was immediately apparent to any observer familiar with high-performance military units. Tyler's leadership style emphasized clear communication and decisive action, while Emma's analytical approach provided strategic depth to their tactical planning. Marcus brought the kind of combat experience and physical presence that could prove crucial in high-stress situations, while Ashley's technological expertise offered advantages in navigation and coordination challenges. Bravo Team operated under the leadership of Staff Sergeant Michael Torres, a 29-year-old infantry specialist whose reputation for methodical preparation and tactical innovation had earned him respect throughout Fort Braxton. His team included some of the most promising young soldiers in the competition, each selected for specific capabilities that would contribute to comprehensive mission success. Charlie Team was led by Sergeant First Class David Park, whose background in special operations training had provided him with insights into the kinds of challenges that elite soldiers typically faced in advanced competitions. His team composition emphasized versatility and adaptability, reflecting his belief that success would depend more on the ability to respond to unexpected situations than on specialized excellence in any single area. Delta Team featured Sergeant Jennifer Walsh as team leader, making her one of only 2 female team leaders in the competition. Her selection for this role reflected both her exceptional performance in previous training exercises and her demonstrated ability to lead mixed-gender teams in challenging environments. Her team included several soldiers whose capabilities had been proven in actual deployment situations. Echo Team was commanded by Sergeant Robert Chun, whose academic background in military science provided a theoretical foundation for his practical leadership approach. His team selection emphasized soldiers whose performance in classroom settings suggested strong potential for success in the competition's more complex analytical challenges. Linda found herself assigned to Foxtrot Team, a designation that carried subtle implications about her status within the competition hierarchy. The team composition reflected what appeared to be careful consideration of capabilities and compatibility, though the other members' reactions to her presence suggested that they viewed her assignment as a charitable accommodation rather than a competitive advantage. Foxtrot Team included Corporal James Mitchell, a 26-year-old communications specialist whose technical expertise would be valuable in coordination challenges. Private First Class Sarah Johnson brought engineering knowledge that could prove useful in obstacle navigation and equipment problem-solving. Specialist Kevin Rodriguez completed the team with his background in medical training and wilderness survival skills. The interaction patterns within Foxtrot Team immediately revealed the complex dynamics that Linda's presence had created. The younger soldiers demonstrated appropriate military courtesy and professionalism, but their body language and communication patterns suggested uncertainty about how to integrate someone of her age and rank into their competitive strategy. Their deference to her military seniority conflicted with their assumptions about her physical limitations, creating an awkward tension that affected team cohesion from the outset. James Mitchell's approach to the situation reflected his communications background, emphasizing clear protocols and defined roles that would minimize confusion and potential conflict. His suggestions for team organization positioned Linda in coordination and support roles that would utilize her administrative experience while limiting her involvement in the most physically demanding aspects of their challenges. Sarah Johnson's engineering perspective led her to analyze team capabilities and limitations with systematic thoroughness. Her assessment of optimal task distribution took into account what she perceived as Linda's strengths in planning and organization while making assumptions about her limitations in physical performance and tactical execution. Her analysis was presented as objective capability matching rather than discriminatory exclusion. Kevin Rodriguez's medical training made him particularly sensitive to injury prevention and risk management considerations. His concerns about team safety and the potential complications that might arise from capability mismatches were genuine and professionally motivated, though they reinforced assumptions about Linda's physical limitations and potential vulnerability in challenging conditions. The opening ceremony for Iron Eagle competition featured remarks from Colonel Mitchell and other senior officers, emphasizing the significance of the challenges ahead and the opportunities for professional development that successful participation would provide. The ceremony's tone was formal and inspiring, designed to motivate competitors while establishing appropriate expectations for performance and conduct. Colonel Mitchell's address focused on the competition's role in identifying and developing future military leaders, emphasizing the combination of physical capability, tactical knowledge, and leadership potential that would be required for success. Her remarks about the diverse backgrounds and experiences represented among the competitors seemed to acknowledge Linda's participation without specifically addressing the questions and concerns that her presence had generated. Captain Hayes provided detailed briefings about safety protocols and performance standards, his presentation emphasizing the serious nature of the challenges and the importance of maintaining military professionalism throughout the competition. His repeated references to appropriate risk assessment and realistic goal setting carried obvious implications for participants whose capabilities might not match the competition's demands. The first challenge, known as the Gauntlet, stretched across 2 miles of deliberately difficult terrain, designed to test every aspect of military fitness and tactical skill. The course incorporated elements from multiple training programs, creating a comprehensive test that would eliminate any competitor whose capabilities fell short of elite standards. Obstacles included rope climbs, wall scaling, mud crawls, tire carries, and precision shooting stations, all while maintaining strict time requirements and carrying full combat equipment. Alpha Team approached the Gauntlet with the kind of systematic preparation that had characterized their training regimen for months. Tyler's leadership during the preliminary reconnaissance demonstrated his ability to analyze complex challenges and develop effective tactical approaches. Emma's strategic input refined their plan, while Marcus and Ashley contributed specialized knowledge that enhanced their overall preparation. The team's execution of the Gauntlet was textbook perfect, demonstrating the kind of coordinated excellence that emerged from months of intensive preparation and natural talent. Tyler's physical performance set the pace, while Emma's tactical decisions optimized their route selection and obstacle approach. Marcus's strength training proved valuable in the more demanding physical challenges, while Ashley's technical knowledge provided advantages in equipment utilization and time management. Bravo Team's performance reflected Michael Torres's methodical leadership style and his team's comprehensive preparation. Their approach emphasized steady progress and error avoidance rather than spectacular individual performances, resulting in consistent success across all obstacles and challenges. Their time was competitive though not exceptional, reflecting their focus on team coordination rather than individual excellence. Charlie Team demonstrated the versatility and adaptability that David Park had emphasized during their preparation. Their ability to adjust tactics in response to unexpected challenges proved valuable when equipment problems threatened to compromise their performance. Park's special operations background was evident in his team's professional composure and effective problem-solving under pressure. Delta Team's performance showcased Jennifer Walsh's leadership capabilities and her team's balanced approach to the various challenges. Their success in the precision shooting stations was particularly impressive, reflecting both individual skill and effective team coordination. Walsh's decision-making during the more complex obstacles demonstrated the kind of tactical thinking that distinguished elite military leaders. Echo Team struggled with some of the more physically demanding obstacles, despite Robert Chun's thorough theoretical preparation and his team's academic excellence. Their performance highlighted the differences between classroom knowledge and Practical application. Though their analytical approach proved valuable in solving some of the course's more complex tactical problems, Foxtrot team's approach to the gauntlet reflected the internal tensions and uncertainty that had characterized their preparation. James Mitchell's emphasis on clear communication protocols helped coordinate their efforts, but the team's overall performance suffered from the awkward dynamics created by conflicting assumptions about capabilities and appropriate roles. Linda's individual performance during the gauntlet surprised many observers, including her own teammates. Her technique demonstrated the kind of refined efficiency that developed through years of consistent training, while her pace and endurance suggested fitness levels well above what most had expected. Her approach to the various obstacles revealed familiarity with advanced military training methods and the kind of tactical knowledge that came from extensive experience. The rope climbing obstacle provided Linda with an opportunity to demonstrate capabilities that contradicted her teammates' assumptions. Her technique was textbook perfect, demonstrating upper body strength and coordination that impressed even skeptical observers. Her time was competitive with much younger soldiers, suggesting that her preparation had been more thorough than anyone had anticipated. Wall scaling challenges allowed Linda to showcase the kind of problem-solving skills that distinguished experienced soldiers from talented amateurs. Her approach emphasized technique over raw strength, demonstrating methods that proved more efficient than the brute force approaches favored by some younger competitors. Her success in these obstacles surprised teammates who had assumed that her age would create insurmountable disadvantages. The precision shooting stations revealed another area where Linda's experience provided advantages that couldn't be replicated through short-term training. Her accuracy and consistency under pressure demonstrated the kind of expertise that developed through years of practice and real-world application. Her performance in these challenges earned grudging respect from competitors who had previously dismissed her capabilities. Mud crawl obstacles tested endurance and mental toughness in ways that couldn't be predicted from gymnasium performance or training metrics. Linda's approach emphasized steady progress and efficient movement, avoiding the energy-wasting mistakes that eliminated several younger competitors. Her completion time was respectable, though not exceptional, reflecting solid preparation and tactical knowledge. Tire carry challenges provided opportunities for Linda to demonstrate functional strength and work capacity that contradicted assumptions about age-related physical decline. Her technique revealed familiarity with proper body mechanics and efficient movement patterns, while her endurance suggested conditioning levels that many observers had not expected. The overall results from the first day's challenges created significant surprises and forced many competitors to reconsider their assumptions about the competition dynamics. Alpha Team's dominant performance confirmed expectations about their capabilities, while several other highly rated teams struggled with unexpected challenges and coordination problems. Foxtrot Team's performance was mixed, but better than many had predicted, largely due to Linda's unexpectedly strong individual contributions. Her teammates' reactions to her success revealed the complexity of their feelings about her participation and capabilities. Their assumptions about her limitations had been partially contradicted, creating confusion about appropriate expectations and team dynamics. The evening debriefing sessions provided opportunities for teams to analyze their performance and adjust their strategies for subsequent challenges. The discussions revealed varying levels of success in team coordination and individual preparation, while also highlighting the differences between theoretical knowledge and practical application under pressure. Alpha Team's debrief focused on refining their already successful approach and identifying opportunities for improvement in subsequent challenges. Tyler's leadership during this analysis was comprehensive and professional, while Emma's strategic insights provided valuable perspective on tactical options for future obstacles. The team's confidence was evident, though they maintained appropriate focus on continued preparation and performance optimization. Bravo team's analysis emphasized the value of their methodical approach and consistent execution, while identifying specific areas where improved coordination might yield better results. Michael Torres's leadership style proved effective in maintaining team morale while encouraging honest assessment of their capabilities and limitations. Charlie team's debrief revealed satisfaction with their adaptability and problem-solving effectiveness, though they recognized the need for improved physical conditioning and individual skill development. David Park's experience proved valuable in helping his team understand the differences between training exercises and actual competition conditions. Delta team's analysis focused on building upon their successful coordination and tactical decision-making, while addressing some technical challenges that had emerged during the more complex obstacles. Jennifer Walsh's leadership during this process demonstrated her ability to maintain team focus while encouraging individual accountability and improvement. Echo team's debrief was more sobering, as Robert Chun and his teammates confronted the reality that academic preparation alone was insufficient for success in physically demanding competition environments. Their analysis focused on adapting their approach to emphasize practical application and physical performance rather than theoretical knowledge. Foxtrot team's evening discussion was complicated by the need to reconcile their preconceptions about Linda's capabilities with her actual performance during the gauntlet. James Mitchell's communications approach proved valuable in facilitating honest conversation about team dynamics and performance expectations, while avoiding direct criticism or personal conflict. Linda's contributions to the team debrief were measured and professional, focusing on tactical analysis and preparation strategies rather than personal vindication or correction of her teammates' assumptions. Her approach demonstrated the kind of maturity and leadership capability that distinguished experienced military professionals, while avoiding any appearance of superiority or condescension toward her younger teammates. The discussion of Linda's performance within Foxtrot team revealed the beginning of a shift in her teammates' perceptions, though their assumptions about her limitations remained largely intact. Sarah Johnson's engineering analysis acknowledged Linda's technical competence while maintaining reservations about her ability to sustain performance in more demanding challenges. Kevin Rodriguez's medical perspective led him to express concern about injury risk and recovery time, though his analysis was tempered by recognition that Linda's performance had exceeded his expectations. His professional assessment suggested that she might be capable of more than he had initially assumed, while maintaining appropriate caution about the challenges ahead. The broader conversation among all teams during the evening social period revealed varying reactions to the day's outcomes and surprising performances. Linda's success in the gauntlet had generated discussion throughout the competitor group, with reactions ranging from genuine surprise to skeptical analysis of the challenges, difficulty and relevance to overall competition success. Tyler Brooks's comments about the day's results were diplomatically phrased, but revealed his continued skepticism about Linda's ability to maintain competitive performance as the challenges became more demanding. His analysis emphasized the cumulative nature of the competition and the importance of sustained excellence rather than isolated strong performances. Emma Rodriguez's perspective focused on the strategic implications of unexpected individual performances and their potential impact on team dynamics and competitive balance. Her analysis was thorough and professional, though her emphasis on consistency and sustained performance carried obvious implications for competitors whose capabilities remained uncertain. Marcus Johnson's observations about the physical demands of subsequent challenges were presented as objective analysis rather than personal commentary, though his emphasis on the increasing difficulty and the importance of peak physical conditioning carried clear implications for older competitors. His knowledge of sports science and performance optimization provided apparent objectivity to conclusions that might otherwise have seemed prejudicial. Ashley Kim's technological analysis of performance metrics and improvement trends offered quantitative support for various assumptions about capability and potential. Her data-driven approach seemed to provide objective validation for subjective assessments about age-related performance limitations, though her analysis focused on general trends rather than individual capabilities. The evening concluded with individual preparation activities as competitors focused on rest, equipment maintenance, and mental preparation for the challenges ahead. The first day's results had established baseline performance levels and revealed some unexpected strengths and weaknesses, setting the stage for more demanding tests that would further clarify the competitive hierarchy. Linda's evening routine reflected the disciplined approach that had characterized her military career, emphasizing proper nutrition, equipment care, and adequate rest rather than extended social interaction or celebration of her unexpectedly strong performance. Her focus remained on preparation for subsequent challenges rather than vindication of her current success. The second day of competition would feature the Endurance March, a 15-mile trek through mountainous terrain that would test not only physical conditioning but also navigation skills and the ability to maintain performance standards while dealing with fatigue and environmental stress. The challenge was specifically designed to reveal the differences between short-term physical capability and sustained endurance under demanding conditions. Alpha Team's preparation for the Endurance March reflected their systematic approach to competition challenges and their confidence in their comprehensive conditioning program. Tyler's leadership during the planning process emphasized the importance of pace management and tactical navigation, while Emma's strategic analysis focused on optimizing their route selection and checkpoint timing. The team's equipment preparation was meticulous, reflecting months of training with similar loads and conditions. Their pack configuration and weight distribution demonstrated expert knowledge of endurance hiking principles, while their navigation tools and backup systems reflected thorough preparation for the technological and environmental challenges they would face. Marcus Johnson's physical conditioning made him particularly confident about the endurance challenge, though his analysis also emphasized the importance of mental preparation and team coordination during extended physical stress. His experience with demanding physical challenges provided valuable perspective on the psychological aspects of sustained performance under difficult conditions. Ashley Kim's technological approach to the Endurance March included careful analysis of GPS systems, communication equipment, and performance monitoring tools that might provide advantages during the challenge. Her preparation emphasized data collection and analysis that could support tactical decision-making throughout the extended exercise. Other teams approached the Endurance March with varying levels of confidence and preparation, reflecting their different philosophies about optimal training and competitive strategy. The challenge would test not only individual capabilities, but also team coordination and leadership effectiveness under extended stress and fatigue. Foxtrot Team's preparation revealed continued uncertainty about optimal strategy and team member utilization. James Mitchell's communications background led him to emphasize coordination protocols and emergency procedures, while Sarah Johnson's engineering perspective focused on equipment optimization and mechanical efficiency during extended movement. Kevin Rodriguez's medical training made him particularly focused on injury prevention and performance sustainability during the endurance challenge. His analysis of optimal pace management and hydration strategies was thorough and professional, though his continued concerns about Linda's capabilities remained evident. Despite her strong performance in the previous day's challenges, Linda's approach to Endurance March preparation reflected decades of experience with similar challenges and a thorough understanding of the factors that determine success in extended physical tests. Her equipment selection emphasized functionality over appearance, while her strategic planning focused on sustainable performance rather than short-term competitive advantage. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.